Good evening, Mr. Bond fans, and welcome once again. Okay, so this is a short vlog about something that has been in the news recently. It's been picked up by a lot of major news outlets, so I've been getting quite a few questions on it in comments on videos on this channel and everything, so I just kind of wanted to make this video just to make my position on this news completely clear. The news, of course, being that according to an article on the Vulcan Reporter, Tom Hardy has been cast as James Bond for the next film after No Time to Die. So this was doing the rounds on social media quite a lot over the weekend, and there was a lot of discussion about it and all that kind of stuff. As I said on my Twitter page, I think we need to handle this with a massive bucket load of salt, like the salt mines that Kerim Bey references in From Russia with Love. We all need to get our shovels, and every Bond fan needs to go to that mine and get as much salt as they can to douse on this this particular bit of news. As you can probably tell, I think it is a load of nonsense. I think there is a 99% chance that it is absolute drivel. First, for various reasons, I don't think it makes an awful lot of sense. We're going to go into those reasons now, but suffice it to say, I do believe that this is largely a clickbait kind of thing. We know, of course, if you're in the Bond fan community, we're probably sick of seeing articles about who should be the next James Bond. It's going to be Henry Cavill, it's going to be Tom Hiddleston, so-and-so's done a screen test and all this kind of stuff. And I'm old enough to remember when it was the gap in between, you know, Die Another Day and Casino Royale and all of the stuff that was coming out then about, you know, Clive Owen is going to be James Bond and Julian the guy from Nip Tuck was sort of like, he's definitely going to be James Bond, and then obviously it didn't happen. So I think that this is just another in a very long string of clickbait articles, or attention-seeking articles about who is going to be the next James Bond. But the original article comes from, I believe, the Vulcan Reporter, and when you read the article, there's kind of no... It's one of those articles where, like, it's like most of those articles that you read about, like, how No Time to Die is definitely undergoing reshoots in June of 2020, and it's like, well, no, I mean, it isn't, and it hasn't. The film is completed, and good luck trying to organize a reshoot for, you know, summer of 2020 with coronavirus and everything. But yeah, in the original article on this, it says, naturally, fans have been speculating for years about who they think will be taking over from Craig after No Time to Die. Today I've learned that this successor is none other than Mad Max and Venom actor Tom Hardy. No source? No, like, you know, often these things come from, like, a source close to the production has told me. There's none of that. I understand that this casting decision is a popular fan cast. I also know that every British news website / rumour blog under the sun, including The Sun, has been claiming that Tom Hardy will be playing the new Bond. Seeing as how these news sites churn out a new Who's Playing Bond article every week or so, I'm going to assume that they don't actually know who the next Bond will be, who the next Bond is. Be that as it may, I will not brand this article as an exclusive. Well, if you are 100% certain that Tom Hardy has been cast as the next James Bond, that is indeed an exclusive, so I don't really understand that. I also hope you understand that I'm not the type to just take a popular fan cast and run with it as a scoop. I expect the people who follow my scoops and know my credibility to help me with making this article stand out in comparison to the articles from the other news websites I mentioned earlier. So it's like the article is calling itself out on how clickbaity it is, which is funny, but yeah, like I say, there's no... and then it goes on, while Tom Hardy was expected to be announced as the new Bond in November, this does not seem to be the case anymore due to the coronavirus. Nevertheless, I anticipate the announcement to come out this year all the same. Early 2021 also seems likely if No Time to Die gets delayed again. This would be an unprecedented move. No Time to Die hasn't even come out yet, and it's Craig's swan song, and just out... Eon adore Craig. He's very popular amongst amongst general audiences, certainly, and I don't think they're gonna be knowingly taking the wind out of his sails for what may well be his last Bond film by kind of announcing the guy who's going to take over from him immediately after, because otherwise Craig's going to be doing the press junkets and everything for No Time to Die in November, and all the questions going to be about, what do you think about your successor, Tom Hardy? And that's not a very, you know, you're already looking to the thing that's coming after when the thing that is supposed to be coming next hasn't even been delivered yet. There's also absolutely no precedent for this. Like, it's not like when they were shooting A View to a Kill, they were already like, ah yes, we're announcing the next James Bond to be Pierce Brosnan / Timothy Dalton, whichever one works out contractually. It would be doing a massive disservice to Craig in that respect, and I don't think that they would want to do that. I think No Time to Die should quite rightly be a celebration of the lead actor, you know, his 5th film in the series. So that's my first reason for thinking that it's a load of nonsense. My second reason is that Tom Hardy is probably a bit too old for it now. As of now, he is 43 years old, and that's so that means that by the time they actually get around to filming the next Bond film, presumably it would be a year or so after No Time to Die. I can't imagine them rushing into a production so soon after that film, especially in a post-COVID, well, we're not even post-COVID yet, in just a COVID world. So that means that Tom Hardy is going to be at least 45, 46, presumably, by the time they got around to filming, and I know that people love to kind of point out, well, Roger Moore was only 95 when he was cast in Live and Let Die, and yes, I know that Roger Moore was in his late 40s when they cast him as Bond in Live and Let Die, but that was at a time where they would be filming these and releasing them. I mean, God, Man with the Golden Gun only came out like just over a year after Live and Let Die, and then for most of the gaps in between the films at that time would just be 2 years. Now the gaps are so much bigger. I mean, Roger Moore could do, like, what, 7 films in, like, was it 12 years? Something like that. And when you look at Craig, it's like the last 12 years, we've had 3. So, not including No Time to Die, which, if that comes out later this year or not. So, you're not going to get that much mileage out of Tom Hardy unless you are going in a very different direction where you're going to deliberately make Bond a kind of older guy and play into that as his tenure goes on. So there's age, and then there's also my third and final reason for why I think this is a load of nonsense is the mechanics that they would go through to do all of the screen testing and all that kind of stuff. I just can't imagine them having the capacity or ability to do all those things. We know from, it's talked about quite frequently, for the Bond audition process, they do several scenes, and one of them is they always do the Bond and Tatiana scene from Russia with Love, and we've seen James Brolin, parts of Sam Neill's screen tests. We know that Daniel Craig did that screen test as well. They always have him do a love scene and a fight scene to test the actor's credibility. I can't imagine, I know that filming is going on for things, and there are ways around this, you get actors to kind of like isolate in places, but for the sake of a screen test, I can't imagine that they isolated Tom Hardy and 2 other actors for a week, 2 weeks, however long they had to do it, so that they could have him fight someone and then have a love scene with someone else. It just doesn't add up. And then there's also the fact that they've never really cast kind of like like Tom Hardy is an A-list actor, and they never really cast A-listers, like, you know, they go to TV or they go to sort of lesser known actors who haven't really, like Craig, for example. It's like, I'd seen Craig and stuff, and when he was cast as Bond, it was kind of like, well, interesting. And then the role kind of makes them a star and they grow into it. I think just casting an established star would be very much against the kind of, the grain of what the precedent has been. So another reason, a fourth reason why I think this is a load of nonsense. And I think, you know, the list could just go on and on and on for why not to believe this. And I think Bond fans are savvy enough to know that. I mean, to be honest, the discussion that I've seen about this particular topic tends to come down to, well, we know this is probably not going to happen, but would you like Tom Hardy as Bond? And I think, you know, even as little as 5 years ago, yes, I think he would have actually made quite a good Bond. I really like Tom Hardy. I think he's a really great actor, but I think by the time they get around to doing the next one, he's too well known, and he's not going to be the right age to kind of grow into the role unless they do have some kind of big plan where they're going to do 4 films in 8 years or whatever. But I just can't see it happening. As I've been saying for a good couple of years, I think that whenever the next Bond actor does come, it is going to be someone who we're not really talking about now. I think they're going to find someone quite like Daniel Craig. I don't remember people really sort of, you know, throwing his name into the ring all that much with the likes of Clive Owen back in the mid-2000s, and I think that's going to be the case when we get to the next Bond. But I think they're going to release No Time to Die. Who knows, they might even try to woo Craig back for another one, or, you know, until he finally says no, they might try to get him back again. But only when we have absolute confirmation that Craig is not going to be doing another one will the race for the next Bond start in earnest. But I can't imagine we're going to have any confirmation on that for a good couple of years at least. So there we go. Let me know your thoughts on this particular subject in the comments section below. I don't really often talk that much, make videos specifically to discuss these kinds of things that are so blatantly not true, but this one's been gaining a lot of traction lately, so I figured it just would be easier just for me to put my thoughts out there. So please do let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. Also below you can find links to my various social media pages. You can subscribe to this channel if you would care to stay up to date on future video uploads. This channel is, of course, Bond and spy movie focused, so if that's your jam, then please subscribe. And also below are links to my social media pages, so my Facebook, my Twitter, and my Patreon page. And with all that being said, so long for now, Bond fans.